What's going on, collectors? Optical 20 here for another video review. This time it's Doctor Strange from Marvel from Hot Toys, and you can purchase this figure. It's available now at bigbadtoystore.com. Just click the link in the description. We'll start off with the box. It's an older figure, not really that old, but I was debating whether I'm gonna get this figure, but the box is awesome. No, I didn't get that because of the box. I'm just pointing it out. But it broke two rules of my rules of buying figures, especially Hot Toys. Well, I just buy Hot Toys, but I got three rules, and two of them has to be in there. Typically, one is if I did like the movie. I didn't like the movie at all on this one. It's okay, but find it too trippy and whatever. I want something even on my comic book here is a little bit more realistic, but you can see how the box operates there. That's pretty cool. Did I like the character? I'm not really fond of Doctor Strange. Like I said, I'm more in the more realistic side. The one who brought me in this collection is the Dark Knight, and I did love it. I did love the movie. I didn't even like Batman at that time, but because of the movie, it was, it's as close to realism as you can get, and at the same time it inspires you. That's why I did love the franchise. But this one, I don't see myself watching it over again. I did rewatch it just for because the first one I fell asleep on the first time I watched it. The second time I didn't fall asleep because I was trying to understand it. I was trying to like it because the figure is great, So, but I watched it. I tolerated it. I didn't find it quite nice. I'm not gonna watch it again. But this is the second rule. I didn't like the movie. I didn't like the character. Third one was the figure. So normally I would like the figure and then one of those each, kind of like with Harley Quinn. I didn't particularly love the movie. It's okay. I tolerated it, but but this one, the figure is just so superb that I just gotta get it. As you can see right here, even with the hands, it has different gestures that you haven't seen before. It also has obviously the texture, when he got operated on his hand, and you can see some disc here that kind of like the effects on the movie, which is pretty great. Typically these types of effects are kind of childish, but when you see them on Iron Man and on like the new Wonder Woman, the bullet effects that you see, typically I would say that it's not really necessary. But in this one, because you can recreate this effect on Photoshop if you are just posting a picture, but if they're on the shelf, this is actually pretty nice. As you can see here, you just kind of insert in the hand. It is made out of plastic, but the paint job, and everyone can agree on me on this, like Hot Toys is untouchable when it comes to paint job. It's superb, even though it's a piece of plastic. The different gradient and the way it looks, it's so nice that it's still passable even if you display it on the shelf with those effects. Actually, that's how I display them on mine right now. So you get two of these effects. I don't know what they're called. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan, but the figure is just great. The way it looks, obviously I don't have the same love for this as much as my Punisher, because I'm a big fan of the TV series, the character, and I think the figure is great as well. But the figure, as far as figure wise, I think this is superior than Punisher if you take out all my emotions, my affiliations with them. Even comes with a small disc of green, then you kind of just insert it in his hand. He comes with two necklaces. Apparently it's the Eye of Yamamoto or something like that. There's one closed eye and one open one. So I think they crammed up all they could as far as this figure, and which is great. I'm not complaining. The first time, I think, and this is what I noticed, that Hot Toys actually put their best foot forward. If they kind of anticipate that this is not a figure that's quite popular. And I'm not saying in general, obviously there's some fans out there of Doctor Strange, but it's not like Iron Man or Captain America. But so now they gotta entice the public like myself, which I was enticed. That's why I bought the figure, and I think I'm gonna keep the figure. Now, one driving force as well, as I told you in my previous video, that you gotta be really careful when you buy Marvel products right now, especially Hot Toys, because they're expensive and you just can't if you try to replace them, you're always a generation behind. Let's say you buy a Thor, there's a new Thor that came out. If you sell them, most likely you're gonna take a loss, because we all know, and this is the thing that he puts in his hand. Again, I don't know what it's called, but yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, you can insert it on any other hand. It's made out of soft rubber, so I don't think it's gonna snap, but you still gotta be careful inserting it in his hand. And this nice book from the movie, which is really nicely detailed. Yeah, you can see all the details right there. If my camera focuses, you can open it up, see the pages. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, but going back to my original point about Marvel figures, we all know Infinity Wars is coming. It is coming, and it's gonna bring you lots of characters. So if you missed out on Captain America, I think he's gonna have a beard now. Unless you want the traditional looking, then there's always Age of Ultron, Civil War. But if you are keeping those, like, there's a point where Age of Ultron Captain America is $300 on the aftermarket. Now you can get it for cheap. Hulk, Thor, Black Widow, all those types of characters are gonna depreciate in value. This might depreciate in value as well, because I've seen him that he's gonna be on that movie. However, not every figure has an effect like that, and I'm gonna create a video about that. With Winter Soldier, the previous Winter Soldier is better, Loki, and all that stuff. Now with this guy, this is a great figure, by the way. It is just a wonderful figure. It comes with decent amount of accessories. There's no restriction in movement as far as articulation. The cape is actually nice. You get a backdrop, a nice base, and the portrait is just amazing. Now, my feeling is, aside for the movie and the character, it's up to you as well. If you don't think you are heavily invested in this figure, I totally get it. But as a collector of Marvel, figures, regardless if I do or don't like the movie as much, I kind of anticipate the future as well, because I'm not going to do this forever. I'm not going to collect forever. I'm not going to buy every character that they release. Let's say Black Panther. I skipped on the Civil War Black Panther because he's going to have his own movie, and presumably I am anticipating a better release, meaning more accessories, maybe a second head sculpt. And I'm just guessing it is going to happen. So with this figure, I just don't know what else they can add, unless there's something great that's going to come out on Infinity Wars as far as Doctor Strange is. The costume looks the same. Maybe it'll be tweaked a little bit, but I don't see it being overtly different. That's why I decided to pick this figure up, and I think you should too. It's a great figure, especially if you're in a Marvel fan. It comes with this nice backdrop, and they finally got it right, because this backdrop is shorter than their normal backdrop, so it actually fits Detolf. You can see this cape. Normally you would buy a separate cape, because Hot Toys is not really good at making capes. This one is actually an excellent looking cape. Flows nice. It has wires on it. I feel like it has magnets. Kind of reminded me of the first Thor cape. It has some plastic inside. You can see the inner lining. There's a lot of details in this cape too. There's like beautiful patterns and the stitching and all that stuff. So what do you call it? It's the cape of levitation or something like that. But yeah, it's nice. The figure is beautiful with or without the cape, and it actually works either way. So it has everything that you wanted for a figure. If they just exert the same effort, for example, which they did on Batman vs Superman, so I'm happy with that. They can exert the same exact effort to every figure that they release. My perception with Hot Toys would change differently. I still think they're the same. They're the best manufacturers out there, the best as far as toys or collectibles is concerned. But you can see them sometimes, they get they cut corners on some things. But in this particular release, they did not. So kudos to them, and it's such a wonderful release. You can see here, there's a lot of nice details on his belt. You can insert the kind of like the ring thingy that he does have on the side. And like I said, it's like you guys gotta be careful, even though it's kind of like rubberish, but you just be careful. And on the other side, that's where you insert the other piece. I don't think I did insert that on this video, because I was trying to test them out too with different hands, but I wasn't able to. I capture it, silly me. But yeah, there's a lot of nice details in this figure. And the costume is just a regular I guess, clothes for a normal person without the belt, and obviously they wouldn't wear something like that for, but it doesn't restrict any movement. He has double jointed elbows outside of the ankle articulation, which I showed you the boots earlier. I wish they would. I'm a big fan of the separated boots, kind of like with a Punisher. I just think it captures more range of movement, and to me, as long as it's not too obvious like the one in Enter Bay, which all joints are exposed, I'm okay with that, because I would trade off articulation for a little bit of joint, a little bit. With Captain America Age of Ultron, it's covered. Punisher, you can maneuver it where it's seamless, kinda, but I would trade that anytime for aesthetics, as far as it's not too blunt or obvious. You can see here, yeah, I mean, it still works, don't get me wrong, but if I have the option, I would have the ankle articulation, cut off the boots, kind of like Daredevil and Punisher. But needless to say, it's a nice looking overall figure. You can see those boots right there. There's some really nice organic stuffs going on in here, kind of like more tribal, and some layers on his I don't know what to call this, his dress. Yeah, on the back there's a lot of details as well on his belt / sash, I guess. Yeah, the stitching is pretty cool as well. That color is a bit weird. I tried fixing that, but I guess it just really comes on like that. And the fabric is nice. It's not form-fitting. The sleeves is a bit longer. One complaint that I do have, it's not really a complaint, it's more of just a I guess a comment, is that the pegs on his hand is it's a bit stiff. So every time that you want to switch hands, it always comes off. So I wish it was a little bit more secured. And it's not a big deal if you have a like a heater or something, like a hair dryer. You can take it on and off. But I wish it would have been implemented a little bit better. That's all I'm trying to say here. Yeah, these are the boots. And, some nice stuff out in here. There's some sash in the boots as well. I'm not, I wish I could show you this at the bottom, but I won't. But this is, I guess, the meat of this review or this figure. I think anyone can agree to me that this is an excellent head sculpt. Maybe the best no, you know what? I'll go with Harley Quinn. But I would make this a close second. It doesn't matter what kind of lighting you put in it. I'm just playing around with the light here. It's spot on. It is spot on. You don't need a second head sculpt for this. There are certain figures that I agree that deserves a second head sculpt, only because they don't come with much accessories. But this guy comes with decent amount of accessories, and for $234, it's not bad at all. It could be worse. But this guy, oh my goodness, yeah, the texture of the skin, the sculpt of the face. Benedict Cumberbatch he has no jaw. He's skinny, but he doesn't have a jaw. And typically guys who's a little bit more chubbier is the one who doesn't have a jaw, because there's fats in there. But he's skinny, but that's the shape of his face, and they capture it beautifully in here. That wave of the hair is also nice. And the facial expression is not one of those kind of like dead eye staring out of nowhere. There's a little bit of expression here. He's not completely mad, but it's not too intense as well. So yeah, I think Hot Toys gave him a perfect expression, and I think this head sculpt would be a 1B if I gotta categorize their best head sculpt, at least for this year. I'm still going with Harley Quinn by a small margin, although because of the expression that Harley Quinn does, but this is really strong. It's beautiful. I've yet to see the Tony Stark in person, the Mark 46 or 47 for that matter, and I know that's a beautiful portrait as well, but this one, you can see those eyes. Oh wow, it's green eyes. I don't even know if Benedict Cumberbatch has a green eyes, but now I believe Hot Toys, because they're spot on for the most part as far as their paint job is concerned. and you can see the the little details. I just want to get you up close and personal, because that's how you're really gonna appreciate this work of art. That when you see something like this, it's spot on. Typically this is I call this toys or collectibles or whatever it might be, but when you see something like this, it's like work of art. Now it's like a miniature person staring at you. If I take a picture a little bit further, put the filter on it, you would think that it's an actual person than a toy. And here he is without the cloak, and it's still a beautiful figure. I just want you to get a far shot of him just standing, museum pose. I didn't put any effort in this pose whatsoever, because you can display him either way. The cape is so easy to remove on and off, so I guess you got that option. But yeah, right off the box, you don't need futzing, you don't need to do anything with his outfit. In my opinion, it flows nicely. It's just like I said, I've said it so many times, it's just I want to call this a perfect figure, as far as production wise is concerned. Obviously, depending on your affiliation with a figure, like I said, I don't have much for Doctor Strange. I don't see myself having this as my favorite figure ever, but I can't just dismiss the fact that it's just perfect in terms of, I would say, the looks, the articulation, the amount of accessories that it comes with. I guess you can make the argument that as far as and the price is not bad as well. I think that's the entry price for Hot Toys now. It's like $234. We've seen $227 as Flash, but you can't compare how much accessories he does have with Flash, the new Flash at least, because Flash almost comes with nothing. And also his his portrait is mostly masked, so and he doesn't have any gimmick, kind of like Batman. As far as value wise, the only recent figure within the past year or so that would come to mind that would kind of equate to him would be the Batman from Batman versus Superman, or maybe the Suicide Squad Batman. I don't know how much the Suicide Squad is, but Batman versus Superman is the same price as this. The same aspect, Batman v Superman is one of the best figures, I would say. I think it was last year, but it comes with a lot of gimmicks. His eyes, changeable faceplate, tons of weapons, and we can make the argument that yes, he does have flaws here and there, but it doesn't really bother me. Mostly it's customizers want to get their figure a certain look that they do. But right off the box, I think he's already great, kind of like this figure. So if I have to put somebody in front of him as far as value and the amount of things that you're gonna get, maybe Batman versus Superman, as far as the most recent release, at least within the last year or so, would be better than him. $234, but you get all those accessories. Not mentioning if you order the special edition, you get the sniper rifle or the bat cowl. So but as you can see here, he got his levitation cloak, and it's wired as well from the side. So I mean, if you are taking a picture, which I would in the next few days, and put it on my Instagram, so it's a good segue. If you haven't followed me on Instagram, go ahead and do so. You can position it however you want. And I wish like Hot Toys would really give us two capes, kind of like what Sideshow does. With this guy, I'm perfectly happy with this, because his cape is a bit different. But moving forward, I wish our Batman or our Superman, Thor for that matter, would have two capes, and so we don't have to buy custom capes, and because that's an extra cost to already an expensive figure. They already charge like $235 baseline, so I don't know what a piece of fabric would cost them, but I can't imagine it being $50. But yeah, if you buy an extra cape, typically it would run us around $25 and upwards, depending on who you bought it from. Because there are like cape makers out there who are really prominent. They're known to the community, and it would charge. Sometimes it costs like $50. So, and they're not official. They're custom. They're nice. but again, I would rather see it from Hot Toys. There you go. So this is him kind of holding that disc, and here he is. I'm just demonstrating, I guess, how flexible this guy is, and how he can bend down on his knees, kind of like fighting someone. He, as far as I know, he doesn't have any villains that would come out of Hot Toys. However, I've seen like third party do some of his villains. Don't ask me what his name is, because I have no idea. And this bald woman who is like wearing this yellow cloak, I forgot, Prophet or whatever, being made by a third party company. So if you're a big fan of Doctor Strange and you love that movie, you can kind of complement this figure with those other third party. I don't think Hot Toys is gonna make those. I just don't think that in Hot Toys' eyes, if this guy sold out, maybe they would. But this is still widely available at Big Bad Toy Store or Sideshow or the major retailers. Because he's just not one of those guys like Iron Man and all that stuff, but doesn't mean he's a bad figure. And there he is, guys. It's a bit taller because I put him on the rotating pedestal, but it's a good ratio with his backdrop. Great figure. I can tell you right now, I'm not a big fan of the movie, I'm not a big fan of the character, I'm not being biased here, but just great figure. Go ahead and pick this one up. I put the link down below. You're not gonna regret it, even if there's a new version coming out, presumably. But I don't see it. I think they're gonna do a Vision on this one. Like Vision came out on Civil War, but they never released one because he's too similar. So it might play the same way. We don't know how much impact he's gonna have on Infinity Wars. But regardless of all those, whether he does or he doesn't have one, you deserve this figure. Any collectors deserve this figure because it's just a beautiful figure. I've never felt this way in a figure since the BVS, and I love Batman though, so I'm a bit biased on that. But as far as just being objective and looking at the figure value wise and accessory wise and overall, this is a great figure. So thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next review.